An R&B singer advocates for polygamy. A black fried chicken restaurant owner says criticism of his restaurant is racist, and yet there is another gender, but this time it has something to do with the climate or whatever. This is Can't Cancel Rob Smith. All right, what's going on, Problematic? So look, the one thing that I cannot stand is I cannot stand woke white liberals that like always attempt to try to tell black people or Latino people or Asian people or whatever how we are supposed to think if we do not fall in line with their stupid, idiotic leftist agenda, right? And so, you know, this is an example of this. I'm going to play this for you.
Trump is less of the issue and more so the people that support him, like die hard, and they facilitate that kind of like hate, I think, for a lot of people, not just black people, but like.
I mean, this man took out like a full page in a newspaper calling for the public execution of 5 black kids. His hotels, all of his businesses have rampant history of denying black people apartments or whatever. So
I forgot about that. I should not have stepped forward.
Look, I mean, Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. So I don't think he really cares about anyone, I guess, unless you're like super rich or whatever.
When you look at his history on racial issues, whether it's the shithole countries comment, the plethora of comments he made about Mexican people, just the comments he made about Muslims, the idea that Trump cares at all about some particular racial minority, I think is a little bit silly. I think Trump will say whatever he needs to say to rile up his base and to get elected.
I don't necessarily think those statements come from a place of hatred. I don't think he was ever saying specifically, oh, if you pray 5 times a day towards the east or towards Mega based on wherever you are, you're a bad person. I think he was saying if you like to fly planes into towers or behead people or throw people off of buildings, maybe you're not the most virtuous person out there.
I supported Trump because he made the economy good. And so the economy then impacted black people, white people, Latino people, it impacted everybody. But Trump, he didn't think specifically, I don't think, about black people.
This irritates me to no end. Okay, so first of all, when you are any sort of like, when you're a black person, when you're a Latino person, when you're an Asian person, whatever, and if you don't bow down to the great white liberal and their idea about how oppressed you are, about how much of a victim you are, about how you need them to save you, then automatically you become a sellout and you become an Uncle Tom and you become all of these different things. Trust me, if you go to any of my social media platforms, you will see, you know, the woke black libs, they're brainwashed, and like I'm trying to unbrainwash the black libs. Like that's what I've been trying to do. It's very hard because they're so brainwashed by Hollywood and in politics and journalism and media and all of this other stuff. But go to the social media pages of any prominent person of color that is not a raging leftist, and you will see not only them being smeared by other Latinos or other blacks or whatever, but you will find like those white liberals that are in there calling me like Coon and Uncle Tom and all of this other stuff. And this is the thing. This is what I call the soft bigotry of low expectations, because white liberals, like the liberal in this video, they think that black people and people of color are retarded children. They think that we are retarded children that it is up to them to rescue. Okay? That is what they truly think. Okay? They don't respect your intelligence. They don't respect your ability to think for yourself. They don't respect your ability to earn for yourself. They don't really respect any of that stuff, okay? And by the way, they don't respect the black libs that are pushing that crap either. The black libs just make them comfortable because they reinforce this idea in the white libs' minds that black people are basically spoiled, stupid children that need to be led. And the reason that they hate any non-white person that is not liberal so much is because we shatter that narrative. Now, in my case, obviously, I talk about like a lot about being a right-leaning black person, et cetera, et cetera. But in this video, this was a Cuban Trump supporter. This is a Cuban, you know, a Republican person. And this person was saying, and by the way, with the Cubans, they'll talk a lot about escaping from communism. They'll talk a lot about that stuff because they've seen a lot of that stuff start rearing its ugly head in America. And so look, if America falls to socialism or communism or any of these far left ideologies, like that's it. You understand that this is the last stand. And so that's why a lot of these Cubans are so fired up about being basically anti-liberal, anti-left, anti-communist. Like, look, I live in Miami. Miami went red. Miami is full of Cubans that are not here for the communism. All right. But to this woke white lib, by the way, who has, and I'm just noticing this right now, Not only does this person have a face mask, he has the Progress Pride flag mask on his mouth, right? As if this person cannot be any more of a caricature, you know, of some bleeding heart lib that needs to guide the poor, stupid, downtrodden people of color in the right direction. And so, like I said, the reason that you will find a lot of these people is because they need a cause, and they think that, you know, making black people think like them, or making Cuban people or Latino people or whatever think like them, like that is their cause. And the reason that they hate us so much, like this dude is literally calling this Cuban woman a sellout because, like, what? She's not a leftist? Like, that's ridiculous. But this is the ideology. You have to understand that this is how these people think. So yeah, he got totally destroyed by this Cuban anti-lib, anti-communism, definitely right-leaning, obviously very pro-Trump person. And I think that you're going to see a lot more of this triggering commencing, you know, in the coming weeks and months. All right, so apparently there's a new gender identity, and it comes complete with yet another flag.
Did you know, however, there is a gender identity that is linked to the seasons? This is called gender season.
First of all, another flag? Another freaking flag. At this point, look, I'm a gay dude. It's never been a secret. And I made a video on my Instagram at Rob Smith Online about all of these stupid flags that they have now. There used to be, and look, I'm not anti-pride, or I'm not anti-gay or anything like that. These other conservatives can do whatever they want to. Like, I'm not really concerned with these other people and what they think. I'm going to tell you what I think. And so there was one flag, and the flag was the rainbow flag. And that flag was supposed to represent everybody. It was supposed to represent everything under the rainbow. But now, this is what happened with the LGBT or whatever. It's been totally co-opted by lunatics. Like, what is that color? Like pink hair here. So it's been co-opted by pink hair lunatics that are literally they're literally making things up that did not exist anymore. She's like, well, did you know? No, I didn't know, because it doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. Okay, there's more of this lunacy.
And this is a gender identity I've only just learnt about. It's a micro-identity. It's not an identity that I have ever heard discussed before. It's a new one for me. Gender season is an individual who explores their gender identity in relation to a season or all the seasons.
So she's admitting, first of all, guys, she's admitting that this is something that she's never heard of. And does anybody ever stop to think why you've never heard of this crap before, like maybe 10 years ago? Does anybody ever think why you've never heard of gender season before just now, before, you know, pink hair went to TikTok to talk about it? It's because these things do not exist. It's because they are made up in the brains of people that have way too much time on their hands. They literally make crap up. They make a flag for it. Then they go to TikTok so that all the other idiots can see it. And then now it's just become this new thing. And by the way, let me give you a sense of how this started. Like, there's a reason that all of this sort of gender insanity and all of this other stuff, like, this is how it starts. Let me give you the TikTok to government pipeline of all of this insanity. So something starts out online and some people says, oh, okay, well, I'm this is new. Let's explore this, blah, blah, blah. And then people are like, well, okay, like, you know, if your pronouns are fall or tree or z or zir or whatever it is that they've come up with in their mind, okay, we're going to go with it. And, you know, look, we're just going to be polite. We're just going to be polite. And we're going to go with this. We're going to affirm your identity. Okay, but that's not enough, because then it becomes, if you don't recognize my gender season identity, you are harming me. And then it was like, oh, well, okay. I don't want to harm you. You know, it's okay. Like, we'll go with this. And then it's, we need for gender season to be recognized by the federal government, because if you don't recognize gender season, then you are being anti-gender seasonist or something. Like, I just made that up, but literally, like, somebody off TikTok they'll take that word and it will become a real thing. That's the lunacy. Like, that is the insanity that we're living in. And so then it becomes that. And then the stupid leftist politicians start going for the gender season vote, because, you know, we have to make sure that those people are reflected, and we have to make sure that those people are affirmed. And so then we have all of this lunacy to where the local or federal government will start creating laws that say, if you don't affirm gender season people, then, you know, you're going to go to jail. And literally, like, this is the pipeline, folks. These are the things that are happening in places in the UK, like literally right now. Okay, they're criminalizing this stuff. All right, let's see what the rest of what this idiot has to say.
So this might be somebody whose gender expression and identity is linked to one season. So for example, winter. Or this might be somebody whose gender identity and expression changes depending on the season. At
this point right now, like, I'm completely convinced that TikTok, this really does come from the CCP. Like, this really is an agenda to make Americans completely insane and to elevate and to affirm every piece of insanity that comes from the internet. If you're going to take your cues about gender and identity or whatever from this idiot with the pink hair, and like, what is this? Like, I didn't even know people pierced this. Like, what is piercing that? Like what's that? What is this? I had no idea that people even pierce that. But this chick has pink hair. She's got earrings. She's got this pierced. She's got the nose thing, blah, blah, blah. And let me tell you something. If you're going to listen to this person and you're going to let this person dictate how you live your life in the slightest, then you actually deserve to be thrown into jail for not recognizing her gender seasonist identity. This is lunacy. A Denver Democrat mayor, surprise, surprise, is called a fascist for kicking out the pro-Palestine protesters at a local university.
We can help support their rights to protest peacefully.
What's your reaction to the arrest today?
Hey y'all.
We have student leaders.
Mike Johnson, what do you say to our students demands? Free Palestine! What do you say to the students demands?
I'd like to talk if I can. Hey y'all, I just want to...
What do you say to the students?
I'd like to be able to talk if I can. Great. We are here to try to make sure we can help you all exercise your right to protest peacefully. We want this to be a campus where you can exercise your First Amendment rights and be respected to do that. And so to do that, we also need to be able to respect the ability for the rest of the campus.
So no demands. Our demands are not being met.
Hold on, can you let me talk now? Thank you.
You support genocide.
I'm sorry, can you let me talk? I'm going to talk for 60 seconds.
It's a pretty simple question. Yes or no?
I'm going to talk for 60 seconds and I'll walk. If you want to listen, you can. If not, that's your choice. So what we want to do is we want to make sure people can protest.
It's a really simple question. Do you support genocide? I'm not going to get into the Israel-Palestine thing. That is a centuries-old blood feud that we're not going to solve right now. All right, so just leave that right there. The weakness of these people, what you're dealing with here, when you have these pro-Palestine protesters, these people that are protesting for people that they don't know, have never met, and they have such a simplistic understanding of the world, the way that they understand this situation, I'll break it down in 30 seconds, or probably even less than that. In the limited minds of these idiots that are shutting down these college campuses and stuff all over the country. By the way, my alma mater, Columbia University, has been shut down by these idiots. Columbia University's response to this has been shameful and weak, and they deserve everything that they get from these idiots. But the way that they see the world is so simple. And this is the thing. They see the Palestine people, the Palestinians are not white looking. So obviously they're the victims and they're the ones and all of that stuff. And then they see the Jewish people as white. And I've explained this a lot. That's the crux of a lot of this stuff, is that they see Jewish people as white. White people are evil. Inherently, Jewish people bad, Palestine people good, Palestinian people good. That's the way that they see the world. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's how I see it, but that's the way that these people see it. So they're idiots, they're lunatics. Okay, and also, it's very much this current thing syndrome. These people always need the current thing. It was BLM, it was Ukraine, it was the shot, it was all these things. This is just their thing. All right, this is their thing for this moment. And so they throw out stuff like, well, is it a genocide? Yes or no? Like, that's not, it's not a fair question. It's not a good faith question. And this person is an idiot for even engaging them in this level. Like, if I was him, yeah, I would have just sent the police in. But of course, you know, he's a lib and he's just got to make sure that he's on the right side of the people. Whatever.
Peacefully. We also have to have a campus that can continue to operate here. So our ask is we need you all to be able to pull down the tents. That is against the campus policy. You can continue to protest peacefully here once the tents come down. We have no desire to make any arrests for anyone. We want them to be able to protest. If the tents can come down, I need to finish talking, please. If the tents can come down in the next 30 minutes, we need you all to do that. The tents can be removed from the campus. You continue to protest peacefully. If the tents do not come down, then we would need to remove those. We have no desire to make any arrests. It's more of the same. Our demands are
okay, agitators. Okay, people that are obviously completely lunatic. Okay, well, I'm gonna give you 30 minutes, and we really, would you please tear down the tents? Would you please stop protesting, please? This gives us, you know, we want to have you help you express your right to protest. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of that video, and I don't have it right now, but there's this video of this white guy that he's taking video out of his maybe third, fourth floor apartment of the BLM march going by, and he's like giving the thumbs up out of the window, and then one of the BLM marchers throws a brick into his window. He's like, man, I'm on your side. Look. These people do not want to have a real conversation. These people want your complete and utter submission. And this guy is looking weak, and he just is giving off weakness, and they know he's weak.
What does that mean?
I have no capacity to meet.
Let me just say it right here.
I don't ever see this campus.
I have a question that you can't.
I'm happy to help you.
Right here.
You fucking fascist! We're teachers and students out here! We're teachers and students! You were fucking one of us one day! Don't make it
I, for one, I want these protests to go on forever. I am having such a good time seeing the feral pets attack their owners. All right. So look, it was all good 4 years ago. Remember the Summer of Love in 2020? It was all good when they were protesting for BLM and all this other, yeah, we're with you, Black Lives Matter, rah, all this other stuff. Oh no, that was all good. But now what they do not understand is when it's like, what is the reference I'm looking for? It's like feeding the beast. Like the beast will never get satiated. The beast just gets hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. So they fed these leftists. They fed these libs for the past 4 years. They have told them that it is okay. Mind you, back during the BLM protests, and I remember back in 2020, like going to Minneapolis right after those protests and like doing this like viral video about how all of this stuff had been burned down and all this stuff in a black neighborhood, by the way. And they fundraised, like Kamala Harris tweeted out a GoFundMe to bail these people out of jail. Like that is crazy, right? So in some ways they have encouraged this. And so now the pets are turning on their owners, and I think that it's lovely. I think that if you're a right-leaning person or if you're somebody that has any kind of common sense in this country, you don't want to shut that down. No. You want it to go. I want it to go as long as it possibly can. Yeah, send it through the election. Send it through November, December, whatever, because normal people need to see this insanity. Like, they really need to see it, because normal people, like, even your run-of-the-mill New York City lib that is pro-BLM, that was like a 2-time Obama voter, that thinks that Trump is like the Antichrist. even your normal run-of-the-mill New York City lib looks at this stuff and they're like, this is crazy. So perhaps they need to see how crazy their side has gotten. So what I say is this. I say keep it going. I say never stop. I say, yeah, the pro-Palestine protesters, keep on going. Make yourselves look as idiotic and dumb and off-putting to the average American as you possibly can. It's like chef's kiss. God bless. Do your thing. All right, an R&B singer is advocating for polygamy, and let's get into it. So look, this is R&B singer Neo. I'm so sick of love. Well, there's a reason I'm a podcaster, not a singer. Anyway, so he had that song So Sick well over a decade ago. But look, he got caught up, like TMZ caught up with him, and this is what he had to say about polygamy as he's walking hand in hand with his two girlfriends.
An advocate of dating multiple women at once, being married before. What are your thoughts on legalizing polygamy?
Legalizing polygamy? I don't know.
It's illegal. You can't get married, but you can obviously have more than one girlfriend.
I feel like in the realm of love and romance, you should let people do whatever the hell they want to do.
Yeah?
Can't see how it's hurting anybody.
Exactly. Do you think it should be legalized?
Sure, why not?
Would you?
Okay, first of all, there's this idea, and I know, I know the right-leaning, the conservatives are gonna that hate my guts are gonna be like, this is what we did. This is the slippery slope we talked about when it came to gay marriage and all that other stuff. And then, honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't know if I can argue that much I don't know that I can argue that much against the slippery slope thing that they were talking about, because now what we have is this guy walking down hand in hand with his two girlfriends saying that polygamy should be legal, that two consenting adults should do whatever they want to do, and everything should be cool in the realm of love and adults. And look, I'm a gay dude, but I gotta say that this argument sounds very similar to the argument that gays and lesbians were making pro-gay marriage. Now, look, I'm not anti-gay marriage or anything like that. Like, nothing like that. Like, obviously, I believe in the right of gays and lesbians to get married. But it's very interesting to me to see how, let's call it, there's this book out, The Queering of the American Youth, right? Let's call it the queering of American society. So what I have seen, honestly, as a gay dude that's been out in these gay streets for years at this point, I've been an openly gay male for a while, and what I'm seeing is all of the weird stuff that is sort of, bubbling under in the gay community and all that other stuff. I've been seeing a lot of this weirdness kind of like transitioning to heterosexuality and heterosexual relationships. And I've seen it. I've noticed it. I've noticed things that straight people talk about doing that you would never have heard straight people talk about doing to each other before everything got like queer and sexuality is free and all this other stuff. So I do believe in the slippery slope thing that a lot of the super far right conservatives are talking about. I do believe that there's a point there. All right, back to Neo.
Would you fight in DC with the lawmakers?
No, because to be honest, I don't need the government to tell me what it is I can and can't do.
Yeah.
It's my personal life.
Wait. I don't need the government telling me what I can and can't do in regards to my personal life. Well, wait a minute. Neo better watch out. The blacks are going to be coming for him, because that sounds like a very conservative idea. Like, wow, speaking up against government overreach. The next thing you know, they're going to be calling him a Trump supporter.
But if you wanted to get married to more than one woman, would you consider doing that? Or would you want to even get married to multiple women?
I don't know.
Yeah?
No, depends on the situation. I'm not gonna let it ruin my day.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the people I love know I love them and they love me.
But why don't you write songs about dating multiple women? You're always just gassing up one lady at a time when you're writing music.
The songs come out depending on the situation and the circumstance.
Okay.
This is the first time that I've been in a relationship or situation like this, so.
And
Not to say that no songs about it will come to pass. They'll come.
I love it.
There's something that's coming from a lot of entertainment industry people and a lot of very, very, very high net worth people. Like, you look at the Andrew Tates of the world and look at even Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon's got all these kids by all these different baby mothers. Andrew Tate talks about how many kids that he has, and he just has this harem of women, and he has all these kids and all this other stuff. Neo, obviously, this person worth tens of millions of dollars. Okay, like, literally, when you're that rich, you can really do what you want. When you're that wealthy and when you have that status and all that stuff, like Elon Musk has all these kids and all these different women. He has something like 7, 8 kids or whatever. When you're that wealthy and that high status, you can pretty much do what you want. All right. That's the fundamental thing. Now, the average person, like the average man, probably should not take this advice. It makes me think about that, like, you know, some hood rat like that has 13, 14 kids or something like that can barely pay his rent, let alone pay for all these kids or whatever. These people should probably not take that advice. But like I said, it's very interesting that now this is becoming kind of like a mainstream conversation. And you listen to the TMZ reporter almost kind of needling Neo about like, well, why don't you put this in songs? Like, why don't you start to normalize this? Why don't you start to mainstream this? Like, maybe people need to hear this in your music or whatever. And like I said, it's not something that is going to work for the average person. Look, y'all average men out there, like, you need to realize, and by the way, when I say average, I'm not talking about like 50 cents. I'm talking about if you're not worth 30, 40, 50, 80, $100 million, $1 billion, whatever, you don't need to be thinking about polygamy. You don't need to be thinking about managing 2 wives and 2 girlfriends or having a harem or having 13 kids or all that stuff. Like, it's not going to work for you. All right. But it's very interesting to me how these conversations have been normalized. And like I said before, with the queering of American culture, how there's so many different things that now straight people are talking about and doing. And this is a family show. I'm not going to get into some of the sexual things that straight people are doing to each other that seem pretty gay to me. I mean, we didn't even get into that. This is a family show. Maybe I'll do Rob Smith Uncensored at some point, and we'll really get into that tea. But this is the mainstreaming of polygamy to me. Like, I don't think that it's the right direction to go. All right, a manager of a fried chicken restaurant says that criticism of his fried chicken restaurant is racist.
What was supposed to be a positive development in the heart of Huntington has turned into controversy after accusations of racism and discrimination went viral on social media.
We're talking about Crispy's Chicken. It's a restaurant owned by NFL Hall of Famer Randy Moss. But as 13 News reporter Jordan Meade tells us, the manager of the restaurant says the community isn't supporting the business, and he claims it has nothing to do with the food.
The original video.
Great energy, great food. You know, Randy Moss took his time out, invested his money.
That sparked it all.
But since we've been here for the past few months, it has been nothing but negativity from the community not supporting.
That's the manager of Crispy's Chicken, a fast food restaurant in Huntington. In the video posted just last week, he lashes out at the community, saying their criticism goes beyond the food and service.
The entire community is filled with negativity. Being an African-American company, this is what we deal with on a regular basis. Unfortunate, you know, we're not the other color, which is unfortunate to you guys, because if we were the other color, I'm sure it would be a lot more respect.
You know what? Look, I'm so tired of this. I have never denied the existence of racism in America, in the world. It is a real thing. But every time you get criticized for not doing your job correctly, or if people are hating on the chicken or whatever it is, like, everything is not racist. And I feel like black people sometimes are it's almost like we are we're so sensitive to any kind of criticism that we immediately go to race all the time. And I hate it so much because it makes us look weak. It makes us look stupid. And this, dude, it makes you look silly. It makes you look absolutely insane.
After the backlash from his post, the manager, who would only tell us his first name, called out a local host of a podcast to do an interview.
We tried to be positive and having a positive effect on the community, but it just wasn't having it.
But from that interview came more controversy.
What did our community do? They tore us down, like they always do. The African American community, we are known to tear each other down. The Chinese is not known for it. The Europeans, nobody else is known for it.
Okay, so look, now I gotta tell you that he has a point. The crabs in the barrel, the crabs in the barrel mentality, it's not just a stereotype. It doesn't just come from nowhere. And I'll tell you something. There is nobody that likes to tear black people down more than other black people. That is the reality of the situation. Black people love to tear each other down. If you don't think the right way, if you don't look the right way, if you don't do whatever, black people love to tear each other down. And I don't know what this is. I don't know. Maybe some woke lib can tell me that it has to do with the legacy of slavery or the legacy of oppression. But what I will tell you this is that nobody likes tearing each other down more than black people. And honestly, to say, like, and I'm going to be completely real, no other race does this. White people do not tear each other down like that, all right? Asian people do not tear each other down like that. Latino people do not tear each other down like that. Black people are the only group of people that consistently tears each other down. Now, look, I have a couple of thoughts about this, all right? And what I think that really boils down to sometimes is black people have an issue with seeing other successful black people. And that is a real thing. And I know I'm going to get slammed for this. And I know they're going to be like, oh, Rob, they're going to call me a coon. They're going to say I'm tap dancing for white people or whatever. But honestly, and I will tell you this from like a personal perspective, even before I started doing the conservative stuff, by the way, all right? Because like me as a conservative, like this is 5 years. Like I've only been doing this for 5 years. Even before that, even before it was anything political, the most hatred, like the most people that are trying to tear you down, they were always black people. Even when I went through certain things publicly, all right? The people that were the most gleeful at my perceived demise or my perceived downfall or whatever tended to be other black people that were jealous. So I gotta tell you, he's got a point.
That's something that Talk Huntington host David Williams, who goes by the on-air name of Alligator Jackson, says he tried to de-escalate while addressing complaints. 13 News spoke to Kurt today. He doubled down on his statements.
Anybody that misunderstood what I said on that video, you have to think. It was clear as day what I said. It was clear. It was clear that that's what African Americans been going through for centuries. It's clear. But you know what these people did on that post? They took it and made it a race thing. That's what they did. They made it a black and white thing. And for me, if you feel like it was a race thing, then in my opinion, it hit your heart. So maybe it is a little bit of racism within yourself. Mm-hmm. Because if it touched you that much, that must be you.
Oh boy, so much to unpack here. Fundamentally, okay, this is the thing. If somebody went to Crispy's Fried Chicken and said the fried chicken was whack, that doesn't make them a racist, all right? It just means that the fried chicken was whack. Now, maybe because I don't think that there are very many black people in West Virginia. Like, somebody get me the statistics. Like, let me know how many black people are in West Virginia. Probably not many, but they probably expected a fried chicken restaurant owned by a black owner to have some better fried chicken than they probably did. Now, the owner not being able to take constructive criticism made it a race thing. Now, at first, I thought that he was talking about, well, these white people are racist, but then he's talking about he's being torn down by the community, which is true, by the way. Like I said, like I got into before I paused last time, there is an element of black people that love to see black people fail. Now, in the media, they're, oh yeah, we love black people and there's all this community, blah, blah, blah. No, like the reality is that they really don't. Black people can be petty. Black people can be jealous. Oh my good God, they are jealous. And so I think that that's what this dude was dealing with. But I think that the rush to make it like a race thing or whatever really does speak to me as this is what Black people do too much. We make every single thing into a race thing before we look into the mirror and try to really think about what our shortcomings are. Every failure that you have in life is not because of white people and not because of racism. Sometimes it really is because of you. All right? Sometimes it just really is. And if you cannot recognize and if you cannot identify your shortcomings, you will never be able to move forward. Now, this dude is managing fried chicken joint and has had all this controversy, all this stuff, and nobody's talking about your chicken because it's probably whack. And that's probably where this all came from in the first place. I don't know. Maybe I need to fly to West Virginia and go get some Crispies fried chicken and see what it's giving. All right, Problematics, thank you so much for listening and watching. Please watch and subscribe. Watch and subscribe helps me, helps the algorithm. You can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch it on youtube.com/@can'tcancelRobSmith. I'll see you next time.